The 22nd of June, 1941. With 134 divisions at full fighting strength and 73 more divisions for deployment behind the front, Nazi Germany, under the codename Operation Barbarossa, invades the Soviet Union, its ally in the war against Poland. Hitler considers the invasion as part of his plan to provide the German nation with Lebensraum, meaning living space, and an opportunity to destroy communism, which he loathes. The Soviet Union sees catastrophic military losses in the first 6 weeks after the German attack, but fails to collapse and fights the Germans, who terrorize the local population. Among this local population is a teenager who will become known for resisting the Nazi occupants and killing more than 100 of them. Her name is Zinaida Portnova. Zinaida Martinovna Portnova was born on the 20th of February, 1926, in Leningrad, then part of the Soviet Union. Her father worked at the Kirov plant, which after the October Revolution of November 1917 produced tractors. The Second World War began on the 1st of September 1939 when Nazi Germany invaded Poland. Poland found itself fighting a two-front war when it was invaded by the Soviet Union from the east on the 17th of September. Warsaw officially surrendered to the Germans on the 28th of September, and 1 day later, in accordance with a secret protocol to their non-aggression pact, Germany and the Soviet Union partitioned Poland. However, this pact would not last long. Since the 1920s, core policies of the Nazi movement included the destruction of the Soviet Union by military force, the permanent elimination of the perceived communist threat to Germany, and the seizure of prime land within Soviet borders as Lebensraum, meaning living space for long-term German settlement. As such, Adolf Hitler had always regarded the 23rd of August 1939 German-Soviet non-aggression pact, commonly referred to as the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, as a temporary tactical maneuver. In July 1940, just weeks after the German conquest of France and the Low Countries, Belgium, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands, Hitler decided to attack the Soviet Union within the following year. On the 18th of December, 1940, he signed Directive 21, codenamed Operation Barbarossa. This was the first operational order for the invasion of the Soviet Union. Operation Barbarossa began on Sunday the 22nd of June, 1941. 3 million German soldiers were reinforced by Finnish, Romanian, Hungarian, Italian, Slovak, and Croatian troops. Within weeks, German divisions conquered the Baltic republics of Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. However, after the initial successes by the German troops, the advance came to a standstill in October and November 1941 due to the onset of the Muddy period. Hitler tried to conquer Leningrad, which failed, and the following siege lasted 872 days from the 8th of September 1941 until the 27th of January 1944. The blockade became one of the longest and most destructive sieges in history, and it was possibly the costliest siege of all time due to the number of casualties, which were suffered throughout its duration. As a result, the Wehrmacht lacked the strength to take Moscow, and a protracted war was imminent. However, for Nazi Germany, this attack was not an ordinary military operation. The war against the Soviet Union was both a war of annihilation between German fascism and Soviet communism, as well as a racial war between German Aryans and subhuman Slavs and Jews. During the siege of Leningrad, which some historians have classified as a genocide due to the systematic starvation and intentional destruction of the city's civilian population, Zinaida Portnova was not in the city anymore. Shortly before the start of Operation Barbarossa, Zinaida, then a 7th grade student at the 385th school in Leningrad, was together with her younger sister Galia sent to school holidays to their grandmother's house in the village of Zui, situated near the town of Obol in northern Belarus. But soon, the war caught up with him there. German forces took control of the area and began seizing the village's property, especially food and livestock. When the German soldiers tried to confiscate Zinaida's family's cattle as well, and Zinaida's grandmother objected, they hit her. When Zinaida saw this, she decided she would fight the Nazi occupants and do everything in her power to get them out of her country. And she did. In 1942, Zinaida, then 16 years old, joined the Belarusian resistance movement, becoming a member of the local underground Komsomol organization in Obol, named Young Avengers, as many recruits were even younger teenagers. She quickly became a valuable asset to the resistance. Zinaida began by distributing Soviet propaganda leaflets in German-occupied Belarus, collecting and hiding weapons for Soviet soldiers, and reporting on German troop movements. After learning how to use weapons and explosives from the older members of the group, She participated in sabotage actions at a pump, local power plant, and brick factory, killing upwards of 100 German soldiers. In 1943, Zinaida Portnova became employed as a kitchen aide in a canteen for German soldiers in Obol. In August, as she was preparing meals, she poisoned the food, causing many to fall ill and some to die. The Germans immediately suspected her, but Zinaida said that she was innocent and ate some of the food in front of them to prove that it was not poisoned. Because she did not fall ill immediately, they released her. However, Zinaida became sick shortly afterwards, vomiting heavily, but eventually managed to get to the house of her grandmother, who gave her herbal decoctions and whey to drink. Zinaida remained alive. After she did not return for work, the Germans realized that she had been the culprit and started searching for her. To avoid the Germans, she became a scout of the partisan unit named after Kliment Voroshilov, one of the original 5 marshals of the Soviet Union. In a letter sent to her parents that month, she wrote that she is in a partisan unit beating the Nazis. In December 1943, or January 1944, she was sent back to Obol to infiltrate the garrison, discover the reasons for the recent Young Avengers failures, then locate and contact the remaining members. However, she was quickly captured. When she was interrogated by the Gestapo in the village of Goryani, Zinaida, aware that her only chance of survival was to escape, decided to take action. She took the investigator's pistol off the table, then shot and killed him. When 2 German soldiers entered after hearing the gunshots, she shot them as well. She then ran into the woods, but was caught near the banks of a river. After that, she was brutally beaten and tortured for more than a month by the Germans, who were trying to get any information out of her about the partisans. She had her eyes gouged out, was burned with hot irons, and had needles shoved onto her nails. However, she did not reveal anything. By the time she emerged from the brutal interrogation, she was blind. On the 15th of January, 1944, Zinaida was thrown onto the back of a truck, driven into the forest, and executed. She was 17 years old. However, Zinaida's legacy lives on. After the war, she received not only the Order of Lenin, the highest civilian decoration bestowed by the Soviet Union, but on the 1st of July 1958, she was posthumously declared a hero of the Soviet Union, making her the youngest female ever to be awarded with the Soviet Union's highest honor. Today, numerous plaques and monuments can be found that have been named in her honor, and many school teams and groups are named after her. Zinaida will be forever remembered as a young, brave woman who defied the Nazi occupants and sacrificed her life for what she stood for. There were many tears shed for Zinaida Portnova. Thanks for watching the World History Channel. Be sure to like and subscribe, and click the bell notification icon so you don't miss our next episodes. We thank you, and we'll see you next time on the channel.